Jefferson County Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals, May 24th, 2022.
I hereby call to order the Jefferson County Board of Zoning Appeals. Looks like we have a quorum present. I think all members are here except for Commissioner Springfield. Having a quorum here, I would ask the members if they've had an opportunity to review the minutes from the past meeting, any changes or corrections. Otherwise, I am looking for approval.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Proper motion?
Second motion.
Second. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Okay. Do we have any citizens' input tonight before the Board of Zoning Appeals? Being none, we'll proceed to the first item, a front setback variance of 20 feet for a garage to be constructed in front of the house, 990 Leisure Lane, Sevierville, by Brian and Phyllis Whistle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Me and David went out to the property this evening, and that's a neighborhood that's got a lot of stuff in front of the houses. It's one of the older neighborhoods in the county, and he's actually got one in front now. And where his septic and drain field is, it drops off. And how many feet did you say it dropped off in the back?
Well, it drops off probably 15 feet way in the back, but where I wanted to put this garage, the 30-foot setback would give me a 3-foot difference in level.
Yeah,
And the buildup of that would be
here.
a lot. But then closer to the road, it's much more flatter, and if I could get the setback changed from 30 to 10 feet, it would only be a 12 or 13-inch difference. And building that up would be a lot easier. Also, there's a power line. My electric is underground from the pole, and that would be underneath the building. So I don't think that would be a real good idea to have that underneath.
He really, David can tell you too, he's got nowhere else to put this.
I have some pictures here. If
Yeah,
anybody
he
cares to
took
see that.
some pictures.
This is the property where I like to put it, and then the pictures behind that are my neighbors that have had to make these changes to do the same thing I'm trying to do. In other words, there's a lot of the same thing in the neighborhood. Their setbacks are between 8 and 12 feet because they've had grade issues and things like that.
Yeah. The whole subdivision, really.
His drain field is in.
Okay. You can sort of see that in there. And then his electric comes somewhere through here. Is that right?
I didn't notice the electrical over out there.
It's underground,
Underground.
It's,
Yeah.
I didn't.
It's
Okay.
at the far end of the property, almost next door on the property line. There's a pole out there.
To the right if we're facing the house, right?
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You can almost see the shadow there in the corner of the other road.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I see it there now.
And the excavator told me it would be like 50 loads of fill to try to bring that up 3 feet. And it just seemed cost prohibitive for me because just putting the building up is expensive, you know.
So he's asking for
Look
a
at that one, that's
20-foot
right.
variance.
Oh, I know.
Just to
That
build
looks-
the front.
yeah.
It's
Well, I'm going to
the whole
attach that
neighborhood.
building to the house.
Oh, yeah, okay.
With a
okay.
breezeway.
Okay. So he's going to attach it to that.
Okay.
My
Yeah.
neighbor across the street has done the same thing with his garage.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see that there. Yeah,
So he just needs a setback variance.
he does.
Chairman, I don't have a problem with it given the lay of the property.
Okay.
If he was to fill in there, it'd probably encroach, given the way the property slopes on your drain field. Be hard to keep that separated, it would seem to me. Anyway,
The drain field's probably 50 feet from the building.
okay. But it's down slope from what you're talking about putting
Yeah.
in your, yeah. Anyway, I'll go ahead and recommend for the variance due to topographic
Okay.
issues, Chairman.
All right.
I make a motion we approve the setback variance from 30 feet to 10 feet.
Okay. Got a proper motion? And a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Hand those pictures.
Do I need any official paperwork to?
We'll send you a letter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You already got your permit, so I'll mail that one around.
That being the only item on there, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Got a proper motion?
Second.
And second. All right. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Okay. Are you ready to roll right into Plan Commission, David? Okay.
Okay, I'm ready, Chairman.
All right. I hereby call to order the Jefferson County Regional Planning Commission. Looks like we have a quorum. I think all members are present except for Commissioner Lowe. I would ask the members that had an opportunity to review the minutes from the past meeting and any changes or corrections, please note. Otherwise, I'm looking for approval.
So moved.
Got a proper motion
Second.
and second.
Is that you, John Neal?
Yes.
sir.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. Do we have any citizens' input tonight before the Jefferson County Regional Planning Commission? So, okay, being none, we'll proceed to new business. The first item, item A, has been pulled and will be rolled till next month. So we'll move to item B, which is a rezoning request from A1 to I1 for property at Highway 11E and Whitaker Road, New Market, by Betty Mullins, trustee, and Michael Boyd. Yeah.
Yeah, you come on.
Come on up, please, sir.
Guide me through.
You just tell the board there what you plan on building there and what kind of business it is.
I've got the map to it here. This is Whitaker Road right here. We're buying this property, proposing to buy it. We're wanting to put, off Whitaker Road, we're wanting to put an industrial building right here in the center of it. It'd be about 25 to 30,000 square feet to store. It'd be more of a warehouse type.
Okay.
We buy industrial supplies. We sell everything online, electric motors, breakers, that type of thing. And right here in the far corner, we'll probably try to get that rezoned to residential.
Well,
So
yeah,
can-
I've cut that out on the rezoning, so we'll leave that A1 like it is.
Okay, okay,
And 20 acres is all you're rezoning.
okay. That'd be perfect.
Does everybody understand that? If you've looked at your map there,
You
what
look at
he's
the
got,
map, you'll
see how he's got that
Yeah,
marked out there?
Got that notch.
Yeah.
That's that notch.
Okay.
Leave it A1. Because I think you said you might want to build a house there later.
I know, yeah. Can I see where it's got it marked off at? The note. Okay.
That's about right.
Yeah, you're spot on. Appreciate you.
David, based upon what we've got up and down through there, we've got I-1 right beside this, do we not?
We do. I don't have a problem with the rezoning. It's nearly surrounded by I-1 property. What he's proposing really shouldn't have much to do with the rezoning because whatever is allowed in the I-1 zone could go into that zone if it could meet the requirements, parking, et cetera. So anyway, more than being based on what he wants to do, it should be based on whether it's worthy of being rezoned as I-1 based on its other criteria like, good road access, being adjacent to other industrial property, public water, that sort of thing. Chairman, I don't have a problem with it being rezoned given its situation and, the characteristics of that property and the area.
Okay. And then, like I say, this would be just a recommendation from us to the county commission for the rezoning. So,
A recommendation from the planning commission.
Yes.
Just a reminder is required by state law.
okay.
And it's up to the county commission to make
Which
that
goes
final.
to them in July, which I've told you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Boyd or anything? Everybody understand? what he's looking to do? All right, then I'll open the floor.
What water system?
New Market.
New Market does?
New Market's there. New Market goes all the way down to Slinger Road.
Alright. That's all I need.
Oh, we've got to we got to
I'm sorry.
we've got to get you approved. We're still in the process here, so
So move.
okay. I got a
mean,
proper
it's-
motion.
It's right beside it. They ain't anything between it and that other property except the fence, and it ain't a real good fence.
Okay. I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, sir. Thank
Appreciate you.
This is all of these. Are you ready, David?
I am.
The next item is a rezoning request from A1 to R1 for property at 1335 Collins Road, New Market by Harvey and Reba Nicely.
Yeah, come on up. This property is right outside the growth area on Collins Road. If you go down Collins, everything on the right in Jefferson City is growth area. Everything on the left's not. So that's why he's in front of you all. It's 11 acre tract.
12 acres.
12 acres, okay. And I think you want to set it up for smaller tracts, right?
Yes, because R1's across the road from it. Hank and Reba Nicely have a elderly adult child that has some needs, and so they'd like the ability to, as they live there, maybe possibly cut off some tracts to subdivide it. If it could be at R1, it'd allow them to have a little more flexibility with that.
Okay, David?
This property is not in the urban growth boundary, and as you know, I've been pretty consistent to recommend that to not rezone to higher density territory that's in the that's outside the urban growth boundary, that is in a rural area. Having said that, you know, when I was out there looking at the property, the territory is adjacent to urban growth boundary, and it's got the same basic characteristics as that. That muddies the water a little bit. And maybe this should have been included in urban growth boundary when that was done, but that was not done by this body or even recommended by this body, since we weren't involved in that process. So having said that, I'm reluctant to recommend for it because it's not in the urban growth boundary, and but at the same time, I can see the other side as well. So I don't know if you feel that's a very good recommendation or discussion on my from my part, but anyway.
Is it Collins Road that comes off of 11E?
Is it what now?
Yes.
Yes.
It is. Okay, so that's Collins Road. And
Yes,
the
yes.
one that goes the other way is Groves Close.
All the way
Right to the
Grove
right
Close,
if you're
yeah.
going up, grows
Right.
close to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I understand his point of view, but at the same time, it no matter whether I'm here or Hamlin County, when you're right there with that urban growth boundary, it gets to be a real no man's land. And so that's where I think you need to consider the requests of the residents who have been there for a long time and what they're wanting to do.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear, and I can't dispute that. The thing that comes back to me is in the in the county growth plan law, which the urban growth boundaries are a part of, along with rural areas and planned growth areas. It says in the state law that you're supposed to make land use decisions in accordance with the county growth plan, and whether the plan's right or wrong or whatever, anyways, that's open to dispute. But like I said, I've tried to be consistent with that for. But then again, I hear your argument, and it's a sound one. So anyway, I know I'm waffling, but I'm just saying.
When people, yeah, you waffle a lot. but-
Well,
Sounds like you're riding the fence.
When you,
well, well, I said my recommendation was to stick with the. But
Y'all quit bugging.
when people come in and ask me on stuff that's outside the growth area, I always tell them, you know, the chances are not good. The only question I would have for this body is, where do we stop it? And I've talked to Terry about it. Does it keep on going to New Market city limits? If it, if you keep going west of this property, I understand what he's trying to do and everything, but then I don't know who's behind this property, who owns it, but what if they come in next month and
Of course, that's a large
never ending
parcel
thing,
behind that.
That's the only problem I see with any of this stuff outside growth area.
And that may beg the question, should the county growth plan be amended?
You mean the cities?
With the urban growth boundary, part of the county
Well,
growth
that'd be
plan,
up
I
to
mean.
the cities, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it's
It
still,
would
you
be,
still,
It still has to have input from this body.
well, it's not that. It's eventually. I mean, we're you're still going to have a dividing line somewhere.
You got a line. It stops raining some point in time.
Yeah, you got-
I'm sorry, but if you're not on the part where it's raining, it's just dry on the other side.
I understand
And
that.
the problem is, if you move the fence, every time somebody comes and asks for this, if we move the fence is no good.
Yeah.
And it was put in there for a reason. It stopped it. Everything has to have a stop point. And our growth plan, I'll agree with Mr. David, it plainly says that we are to push the high density residential and growth into those urban growth boundaries. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's what's in our land use plan. And that part down through there is, to me, that's a,
Well, at the same time, like I say, when you drive down that road, it all looks the very same.
It smells the
I
same.
mean, it's all the same.
but there's got to be
Exactly right.
when you get to the end of that road, it's got a stop sign on it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And you've got to obey the stop sign.
sure.
And so if you get down there to a close road, it's got a stop sign. It says, hold up before you cross here. And it's the same thing with the urban growth boundaries. If we keep moving that on every time somebody comes in, then those growth boundaries are useless.
Yeah.
We don't even need to have them.
Right.
And if we are of a mind to have the high density into the cities, or into the cities where they can reach it with, and one of the things of high density is that it needs more infrastructure. You don't have as much room for septic, you don't have as much room for the other stuff. So if they have to have a place where they can grow out to with their infrastructure, with sewer and all of that. So if that's the point, then we're putting a line there and says, hey, you all need to look at growing out into that.
At the same time, and I'm just speaking for the Nicelands, they can only subdivide to 40,000 square feet.
Right.
But if they had this in a R1, they could do 20,000 square foot lots. And that's what they're really trying to achieve.
Is most of that property wooded?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is there it looks like a drain runs down through some of it?
There's
Water drain?
there's kind of a rough spot, and that's part of the reason that they were wanting to just rezone the two ends, and the south end is real rough, and the north end is kind of, you almost look like you're back into somebody on gross clothes. So
Well,
that was kind of the reason it was easier to come in and maybe do 4 or 6 on the south end.
The reason I asked was I don't know how many lots you'd be able to get anyway.
I don't think there's probably going to be much more than about 6 that can get in there.
Can you not get 6 at 40,000?
No, because if you do the math on that, it's just a little shy.
Okay.
We do have a clause in there for lot averaging, where there's property that is not as easily developable, steep, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could go to 30.
You can go to 38,000 square feet for some of the rougher land, and drop down to 30,000 from 40,000 to the lots that are more easily
Yeah.
created. I mean, I'm just saying that's something that if it's not rezoned,
Yeah.
you might want to think about. It might be to your benefit, it might be the benefit of the development, because there may need to be less infrastructure,
Yeah.
and not trying to have to squeeze lots into areas that are not conducive for lots, perhaps.
Well, and of course, really, with the 6-inch line that's there anyway, it pretty much has what it needs for infrastructure being on septic anyway. Yeah. And if we could do a lot of averaging, that may help it somewhat.
I'm not.
Well, if it fails, that's something to look at.
Yeah.
I'm not pushing it. I'm just saying it's something that
Sure.
might help some, given the nature of your property or your client's property.
Right.
I'm gonna move to follow the planner's recommendation and deny it.
Okay, I
It's
got it.
outside the growth boundary. Our plan clearly states that we're not supposed to be doing that outside the growth boundary, and I'm gonna move that.
I got a proper motion to deny
I'll say.
and a second. Any other discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed?
This is up to the county commission from here. It'll still go before the county
Yeah, it
commission.
still goes in July.
Okay.
And then, if between then or now and then, if you figure out that the averages might help you and you want to pull that R1 from the county, you can do it.
Okay. Yeah, they've got soil scientists.
Yeah, if that'll help you, then you don't need to rezone it, then there's no need to go in front of the county.
It's conceivable you might get the same number of lots
Yeah.
either way.
I think you can hit 6 on that.
Yeah, if we do the averaging, we can, but before you
I mean, I do the calculating first before you pull it in.
Yeah, play with it if you want. You can call me or Tim, and we'll help you with it if we need to.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Did you get his name? That was in
Sir, I don't know if I got your name.
Randy
Randy
Corlew.
Oh, Randy, I know you from Morristown. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Okay. Are you ready to move on?
Yes.
All right, we'll go to item E. I'm sorry, because D was pulled. Item E is discussion to change subdivision regulations to establish a usable building site on all lots prior to approval. And I think if you look here, I don't know if everybody got a copy or not, but this is the resolution that David came up with to do that. Does everybody have a copy? Oh, you got them? Who's got them?
I've got some.
Okay. If you remember, this is something that we discussed and talked about at our last meeting.
I tried to incorporate everything that we had at the last meeting that we discussed, and you'll see most of that in the bold within the text. In one place, I put down 50 feet and 100 feet because I wasn't sure what we decided on. That's in number 2 under arrangement for road frontage. We talked about it both ways. Chairman, we don't have to do anything with this tonight unless the Planning Commission feels comfortable. But I think we should take a look at it and discuss it.
Is it? This would have to be approved by
Us,
just us.
just
Not
us.
County
County Commission
just us,
doesn't have
okay.
a voice in amending the
Almost.
subdivision regulations.
Before we were talking about widening the roads and sidewalks, I had a question today on a call, and they wanted to know what we could do to keep from people using that to park in. And we would, of course, it'd be designated illegal, they'd have to ticket them or whatever, but then I had a second call about the thing, and the old boy that called me, he was talking about it, and he made a comment, and I've been thinking about it all afternoon. Mr. Bryant, what if we halved that thing, made it 6 foot instead of 5 foot, put 3 foot on each side, or made it 8 foot instead of 5 foot, and put 4 foot on each side? It's too small to park a car.
It is, yeah.
If we made that narrow, then you'd have a walking path on each side, but it wouldn't be wide enough to use to park a car. You'd be parked in the road, which is illegal.
Right.
Would that be an answer to that?
It would. Yeah.
I mean, if you put it on each side, you put 3 foot or whatever we want to put, instead of 5 foot on one side of the road as a stripe thing for a walking and a
Well, I want.
They may try to park in that
Well,
5 foot.
Yeah.
I want. If we do it 3 foot, is that give us safe enough from the traffic?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out because I've been thinking about what that old boy that called me.
Mm-hmm.
He made that comment. Why are you putting it all on one side?
Yeah.
And I hadn't thought about it, but it also goes into the person that called me earlier that said, "Hey, I've got an issue. I've seen this before. They use it for parking."
Which that happens no matter what, basically
Yeah,
from
they'll
that
still
standpoint.
try to park in 3 foot. I guarantee you.
Well, I talked with Charles Tipton about this, and Charles is okay with it. He said, he would prefer this route as per a separate sidewalk, because he says from a maintenance issue. He said if it's just going to be a paved area, whatever, as far as that goes, he said I don't have an issue with that at all. And he says because that's a whole lot easier for me to maintain. But he was not for a designated just concrete sidewalk, because he says that's just a lot of extra maintenance for my guys, and he said I don't need that. So and I don't think it matters. I don't think it would matter to Charles if we split it up. It's the same difference to him.
When he paves, he just paves.
Yeah.
It don't make any difference to him.
I'm just wondering if we need to go, if we did that instead of that we might not need to go 5 and 5. And the reason I'm saying that is just if you got a stroller and somebody walking beside you, are you going to be over in the track? Will that give you enough to get away from the traffic light?
I don't know. I'm okay with the distance. I mean, I'm just
Right.
throwing that out. If we had it some way to narrow it down to like 4 foot on each side instead of 5 foot on one side, if that doesn't, that basically puts them out in the road. So I mean,
And this is for pedestrian walking.
This is
right?
pedestrian
pedestrian or bicycle,
Well, you start shrinking it down
To 3, that ain't gonna work.
you're not going to have a whole lot.
well, I don't know. I don't ride a bicycle. I'm too clumsy, Chigger.
Sugar does.
My experiences in the subdivisions that I'm familiar with, and most of like where I live, in Farmington subdivision in Knoxville, they just have the roads as 24 feet, and people can do whatever they want with them. They ride a bike with traffic, walk against traffic, and very few people park on the street. And it's never a problem. I've never seen a problem or an issue. And anyway, I'm trying to decide if we're talking about overkill in a situation like this. And I'm not trying to. I'm 100% for sidewalks in urban areas where you have to have traffic and people due to volumes of both, away from each other. But I'm not sure for most of the subdivisions we see in rural areas that it's really necessary and just to go beyond having enough room for people on the roadway to do what they need to do. Walk, ride a bike, travel in a vehicle. That's my thought on it.
I don't know.
I'm just passing this on because this is one of the things that was presented that from the Long Range Planning Commission to us to take in consideration that they wanted some designated area for walking and biking in subdivisions in the rural part of the county. So that's the only reason I brought it up. That's the only reason that it's here, because that was one of the things that they asked if we would take a look at. And so my thing was I just really didn't want to go with concrete sidewalks, and so I thought the easiest option would be just widen the road and designate an area there for it. And so
Could they always put up signs too? No parking.
Would they have to stripe it or something?
well, you could ask for that. That'd be part of it. Your subdivision road guidelines. You could have them.
Need to.
Strip the thing and leave it on the outside as an open shoulder.
Yes, as far as that goes, and I mean that's part of the developer's cost, I would think, to do that. So
Like I say, I just thought
I know
I
what
got
you're
thinking about that
absolutely what you're
overnight.
saying. You're right. That's a good thought because that's going to happen. It'll happen for sure. So
So now they did a 20-foot roadway, and correct,
20 foot, yes.
yeah, we
20
paid
foot.
20 foot.
And the subdivision you're in is 24 foot with basically a line down the center.
No line down the center.
No line, it's just 24 feet.
Right, even the minor collector that runs through the center of the subdivision is just 24 feet and there's no lines. It was built back in 1977. I just haven't seen any problems at all with it. I know I don't look like it, but I've been walking lately and I've walked in the past in there for exercise. He said, don't say anything.
Just the way you said that, Tiffany.
Don't say
I'm not saying
anything.
anything about you.
But
Just
I've not seen any safety issues or any issues like that, and it seems to work very well. I don't know if that would be overkill. Having lined off areas and stuff. It certainly sounds nice, but I don't know if it's overkill or not. Maybe y'all can from your experiences, or if you want it, we don't have to make a decision on any of this tonight. If you want to look around or think about it.
All I know, I'm just like I say, all I'm doing is that was an issue that was brought before me. That's something that they wanted us to take a look at and consider, and so that was my suggestion, the way to fix it. There's probably other ways to do it, this, that, whatever. We don't have to do anything as far as that goes because it's up to this board to make those decisions. But I'm just passing that on. So, but like I say, if we do it, then some of the things that we need to discuss is that basically will be properly marked as a pedestrian use only, with no parking for vehicles, and we can say that, and we can do a lot of things in here, but basically it's going to be up to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department to enforce it, and they'll probably tell you, hey, we don't have the manpower to run through and do all that, which is probably true from that standpoint. But there again, it just depends on how many more developments that we have that this will come into play on.
This is just in subdivisions, though.
Just subdivisions,
you
yes.
can put it in the restrictions of the subdivisions. All subdivisions.
You
have
could, yes,
ordinance
yes,
that
then
you
they
have to
could, yes,
adhere to.
yes.
You
But
know,
what we
so-
would,
Up to the developer, yeah.
but what we,
Exactly.
yeah. But here's what we're doing is that once if we were to adopt this, they would have no choice but to do this. Okay,
True.
they'd
The
have no
developer
choice.
would.
Yeah.
The developer would,
Right.
yes. So, and I'm just trying to make it to, of course the developers are going to tell us it's not going to be easy on them because they're going to spend more money. But what I'm trying to work out
I've
is
never
I don't
heard
want
one of them say that they had.
I know, but I don't want the county to have to,
It's not as expensive as sidewalks. Put
No,
a
that-
sidewalk in.
no,
Is
it's
it?
not. No,
No.
that's why I thought this was the best of both worlds, maybe.
The other thing you're saying about do we stripe it or post it, if we require that, and that's what we're doing, then if they do go through there, whether they're on a domestic call or a robbery or whatever, and they see somebody, it does give them standing to ticket them. I mean, they can't enforce it. They may not have the manpower to go in every subdivision every day, but if they go in, if we do it, I think we ought to have them stripe it
I do too.
and post it, and they could paint it on you go over through the gorge over there, and it says no trucks in the left lane, and it says it in big letters, and it's got all them things, and every so often, and it's like $656, Mark, if you pull that semi out there and they catch you. But they've got it posted.
Are you speaking from experience?
No, but there was a boy with me that did that, and I know for a fact he got
Did he get a ticket?
Yes, ma'am. They happened to be in there, and he said, "I'm going around," and I said, "I don't believe I'd do that." And he hadn't much more got pulled out. North Carolina State Trooper pulled him over. He talked to him right hateful, Miss Sue.
Surely not.
Who
So,
snowplows subdivision? Is it the county responsibility?
If they're county roads, yes.
I never noticed that.
That's like in our subdivision, which I didn't realize this, but all cars are supposed to be parked in the driveway. You're not supposed to, if you have an extra, like one gentleman that moved in there, and he's got a work truck, so he was parking his work truck just at night, in front of his house, and somebody called him on it, so he has to put it up in the driveway. So there's all kinds of things in subdivisions that of course it helps if you know them, when you're going to buy or you move in, but
Talking about deed restrictions.
Yeah, you'd be surprised people don't look at that before they buy.
that's true. They don't. And
Crazy.
they're like, well, I never heard of that.
I know.
But there it is.
Look
So,
at it before you buy.
yeah,
Their realtor should have
exactly.
brought that to their
Yeah.
attention.
Oh, they're all about full disclosure, yeah. I understand that.
so back
Of course,
to
if you buy it
this.
online, that's a different story.
So basically, David, you've given 4 feet. Is what you've given here.
Yeah, I didn't get into the striping on that. I just threw that out there.
So if we
As an
added a foot
alternative.
to it and we went to 25, then that gives us 20 foot of pavement and 5 foot of area there. But it still doesn't stop us more about the parking. I don't know how to address that. Otherwise, I just feel comfortable at least having 5 feet. I just think that's enough to get the people away from the traffic, I guess.
Just
5 feet on
side.
one side.
Just one side, that's what I think. I mean, you tell me.
In that case, it would, of course, need to be striped,
I'd still
Yes.
try.
delineated.
And we could put that in there.
We could.
5 feet on one side and stripe it.
That's what I mean. That's my suggestion. It's if you've got other things
Well,
here,
I think 3 feet's going to be wide enough to be safe. Do you?
Well, that's. I guess I just didn't feel comfortable with 3 foot.
Not for a bicycle.
And I don't know. I don't know what I think. I'm not sure what he posts the speed limits in residential developments. I think it's only about 25, 30 miles an hour. Isn't it?
Sure, I know.
I think that's what he should
What,
speed
what
limit.
would dictate which side you went on? If you're supposed to walk in the oncoming traffic, you're only going to be.
Yeah.
You're going to be that. Yeah, you're just going to have to pick a side.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to do. Yeah. Because going back and forth, sometimes you're going to be in traffic, sometimes going back
I don't
in.
know.
I'm just throwing that out.
Getting run up.
Well,
This is probably 5 feet. That table's right at 5 feet. what you're
Is it?
looking at.
Okay.
If you cut 2 off of it, you're about there.
yeah.
Yeah.
5 foot is the standard sidewalk. That's what it is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it needs to be at least that big.
All right. So if we would go add a foot to that, David, then that would probably make that work. And then we would add striping and for that designated walk area. And there's probably some standard out there that's striping just for that TDOT is probably established that we can just probably
One
make
of
them
them
go
circles with a car in it with a line across it or something.
whatever. So no parking. All right. Was there anything else?
Back on number 1.
Okay.
I'd still like to see what Mark said in there as 7%. Because we talked about the 7% of the lot, and and you had to be at least 30 by 40 is what we talked about, rather than just a 30 by 40.
Okay. So we got a lot, and it's odd shaped. So we're saying out of that 7% of this lot.
Which is on a 40,000 square foot lot, 2,800 square feet.
Okay. So 2,800 square foot.
And that's a house and a garage.
Okay, so that's 7% right there, okay? But, so what do you do if the guy comes in here and he goes like this? Just a long little narrow strip, and he said, That's
That's
7%.
what the 30 by
Okay,
40
so
is
we're
in
going to
there
leave the
for.
30 by 40 in there.
Leave the 30 by 40.
That is the
but
minimum.
You can't be, you got to be at least 30 by 40
Minimum.
But
Okay.
you have to have 7% of the lot.
7%,
Because
I
if you
got
go
you.
to R1, then you go down
Okay.
That's 20,000 then.
20,000
Does
and
that apply for R1?
well, if it's 7%, it's
Yeah, you
1,400
said
square feet. So you're still a 30 by 40 is 1,200 square
So
feet.
that's A1 and R1.
A1 and R1.
You make that clear.
All right. Now, let's,
But that 30 by 40 keeps him from building the chicken house,
yeah.
the long narrow.
And we've already got in here that if you've got a lakefront lot, that anything below the 1,000 contour is not computed into part of the 7%. Everything has to be 1,002, and you take the 7% of that.
7% out of the buildable side.
Yeah.
And the 7% has to be there. We also need in there, that is after the septic and the reserve. They got to be able to put the septic and the reserve in.
Which should be enough.
On 40,000 square foot, if you can't get 2,800 square feet, that lot is not a good
It
lot.
ain't a good lot.
And that's exactly what we're trying to eliminate.
That's what we're trying to get by.
Yeah.
And in that 2,800 square feet, there can't be over 10% slope. That takes out all of those. Now, if they want to haul dirt in there and fill that in and pack her in there, that's fine, and make that lot usable. But we got to stop these gully lots
Amen to that.
and the bluffs and all of that.
So, is everybody comfortable with that? Does everybody understand exactly what's going on there?
But like I say, I think that needs to be in there for A1 and R1.
Yeah, most definitely.
And then let's see, what was your homework was to figure out about the flag lots. So what'd you say?
Well,
I put both things we discussed on that sheet.
I think the best that I could tell, of course, when you read about it, it seems like nowhere do they like flag lots. You know, they're not there. But then they're saying, okay, all right. So how do you get rid of them, or how do you control them? So you can always just come in and say they're not allowed, as far as that goes. Or you can come in and say, okay, we're going to allow them, but here's the way they're going to have to be. You're not going to just be able to just keep doing them down the street. There's going to have to be long jogs in there and in between. And what that does is that eliminates some of your driveways off of county roads. Now, if they wanted to build a street back in there as far as that goes and come off that, I really don't have an issue, I guess. But it's off the county roads is where the flag lots really come into play the most.
What if we put that thing, we're at 50 feet, right?
You got to have 50 feet.
Okay, if you put a driveway in,
Well, wait, let's take that back. You have 50 feet, but then you can get 2 lots off the 50 foot because of the easement. 3. That's where it's coming in at, big time to play. That's where your driveways keep mounting up, because you get
Not so much driveways on that, because they usually use the same driveway.
but they don't have to,
They don't have to.
because we already got that
But
issue
usually
coming
they
down.
do.
yeah, we got that right down the order.
Yeah. So
What if you said that the next one, the closest you could get with the next driveway was 150 feet? That means you got to come down, you're on the 4th lot. In other words, if this guy puts a driveway in, if he's the first in there, and he connects to the county road from his driveway to the next one can't be any closer than 150 feet. So that puts it to the 4th lot. So they'd have to, these here would have to skip in here, and they'd have to have an internal road. Well, if you're going to build an internal road, the guy, that just basically says he's going to put all the driveways in there.
See,
But what it would do is, if you had a family that wanted to, and they want to cut off for the kids, it would leave that option, would it not?
It would.
Well, what it comes into play a lot over the years is a lot of people ain't got the 50 foot. And used to, and I told you a story, we wouldn't even let them cut it up, but we did several years ago through the right of ways. Now, you know, I guess we could cut the right of ways out, and that would be the end of that story, but then you're penalizing family. So you don't want to do that. But in the family, I don't believe it's going to come to play much on your road frontage deal.
Or do we just say that if you've got over, what can you do without us seeing?
2 lots.
2 lots. If you've got over 2 lots, you've got to have an internal road. You can't come on a county road. Is that the easiest way to do it?
Well, if you got a tract that's only 100 foot deep, how are you going to get an internal road on there?
Well, you ain't.
You can't. Well, yes, you can. And what you do is that, so here's your road frontage, as far as that goes. You can always just make them come in here.
Cul-de-sac?
Cul-de-sac.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you could do a cul-de-sac, make them do a cul-de-sac.
Well,
Not all properties created equal either, and some of it's just not capable of being subdivided.
I know.
That's the place where we're trying to get, Mr. David, is not, God didn't intend for there to house be built in a lot of places that we've got houses.
I would agree with that.
So if we're going to do this and make it quality, then we've got to put down some things that says this is the only way you can do this.
Now, let me get in my head straight here. You're saying anything over 2 lots would have to have a road. Is that
I'm
what
just
you're saying?
I'm just asking, is that the simplest way to
Well,
do it
then
rather than doing this?
That goes back to what I said.
Or
last
do
time.
you do the 150 foot between the driveways? Do you?
That penalizes the family that's got 2 kids and they want to cut up. They already live there and they want sister and brother want a house back there. Can't make them build a road for 3 lots. I mean, I don't think you can.
Well, if they've got the
You can
if
still
they're
do
living
right
there
away.
and they've got a driveway out there.
But you're saying anything over 2 has to have a road. I mean, I don't know. That's not. I don't believe it.
You're not saying they have to have the road, they have to have legitimate.
When they cut that, they'll just be
County
cutting
road
2
frontage,
on them
right?
back.
Well, yeah, that's no problem right there. I thought he was talking about anything over 2 lots. They have to have a road built back to cut it
Well,
up.
not necessarily, it's not as long as the lots had road frontage.
Okay, all right. Then I ain't got a
The
problem.
question is do we want to allow flag lots where people can stack them, and have like you said,
Well,
driveways.
you've got some subdivisions that's gotten approved per our regulations now that have molested this deal with.
No doubt. Been doing it since day one.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that we're trying to preserve the thing for the families and stuff, but when you stack 18 houses around a subdivision because you've got that much frontage on the road, that's not what that thing was intended for.
agree with you.
Those houses should have had a road inside the subdivision.
Yeah. That's the part you need to figure out to stop.
So how do we do that?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, you do it one or two ways. Is one is that to use that property in the back, they would have to build a proper road.
Well, yeah.
Okay, and then they're going to say, well, we can't afford to do that just for those many lots because of our road standards and what it costs to build a road. I said it just doesn't work. Okay, so we're going to stop the flag lots off of that because nobody's going to be able to do it because they won't be able to do it. And basically what it does is it just makes some of your lots are just going to be bigger. And
Which I got no problem with.
well, I agree with that. But then there again, what do you do? What do we do about the easement? We either got to do away with it.
25 foot.
Well, wait. What if we did this? What if you left the easement in if all they had was
50 foot.
50 foot of frontage?
That's what I started years ago when I come from the planning commission and asked for that.
But what? So here's a guy. Here's his road frontage, and he says, "Okay, I'm gonna subdivide my property." And he says, so he's going to come in here and he's going to say, I'm going to cut a lot off here and I'm going to cut a lot off here. As far as that goes, he says, I'm going to use 100 foot of here, 100 foot here, 100 foot here. Well, you know, he says, that leaves me 50 foot back here. So that means then that off this 50 foot, I can get a lot here, I can get a lot here, and then whatever he gets here, so 100. So that's, if we just let them have 150 foot jog for ever so many feet of road, then that's going to eliminate some of their flag lots. It won't eliminate them all, but it'll eliminate some. I don't know.
I don't know what the answer is, but I know that thing is a mess because
What other counties do, David? Is there anything we're missing that other counties do?
No, I don't think so. The easements seem to be the thing that's abused the most.
Well, and we used to didn't do those, probably till 2006 or 7.
Yeah. That was designed to,
But I've seen so many families, I've told y'all before, come in here and turn them down, couldn't cut the property up, they only had 50 foot, and that just wasn't right.
Well, they
Glad
could.
we did it.
They could have done it,
Well,
but they would have had to
road.
build a county road.
Yeah, that's
And-
just not feasible for 3 lots.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. To give brother and sister a house lot.
and I see that very side.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to do is stop this abuse that we've
Oh,
got,
I know.
and it's been
They've abused it, no doubt.
they've abused it to no
To
end.
start the first 2 or 3 months after we started, the surveyors started abusing it, no doubt.
yeah, I don't like the
But the
easement.
rules are the rules, so.
And that's why I mean it was put in place for a specific reason, and if it's outlived its usefulness, then we've got.
Well,
We
I
had a
wish we
lot of
could've said
properties that were
family owned,
subdivided.
But we couldn't do that.
So where do you stop with family owned?
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
that's
that's-
why the lawyer said we couldn't do that. So.
Yeah, I mean you can't.
Family
do that.
shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah,
When
he
it
could.
Yeah,
comes
I mean
to
when you do this,
subdivision.
it's like saying that all brick houses are taxed at one rate, and houses that are got wood on them are taxed at another rate.
The easement thing was done because back before subdivision regulations in Jefferson County, there were a lot of lots that were cut up and didn't have road frontage, that sort of thing. And these were designed somewhat to try to help let a piece of property be usable that wasn't, otherwise buildable. And then also, like Tim said, for the family situations that
I'll be honest, we don't have that much anymore with the family deal, as like we used to. I don't know why, but it don't seem like we have it as much.
A lot of that got cut up and gone.
That's right.
Well, it's just like that one down there on Buck Hollow Road.
Oh, yeah.
On that one, I still hadn't figured that one out. And I've looked at that thing 10 times, and I still hadn't figured it out how it's right.
Is that the ones that guys from Kentucky did?
I don't know.
No, Getty Garrett did it.
Oh,
You
okay.
approved it a couple
I've looked. I don't know. That's got me puzzled. I just can't. It just don't. It just didn't work for me. I couldn't figure it out. So anyway, it's neither here nor there. But for that, but I say that in saying this, I think that the way that we reduce it is you're going to have so much of a street jog, then you can have a 50 foot, then you're going to have another long street jog, and that's going to eliminate. It won't eliminate them all, but it'll eliminate some of them.
Well, if you put that in then on street things like that, will that not push it to build there'll really be no need to build that one other than for it to come out to have it ingress and egress.
That's it. That's all.
Because these lots here will all be tied on an internal road.
If there's
enough
room to put an internal road in, yeah, that's the key.
And that's why the 50 feet.
Yeah, if you're putting an internal road in, why would you give up this road frontage down here? You would get
another lot.
You get another lot, and that's the best thing. That's the most economical thing a developer would do. He would say, "Gosh, why? If I'm going to have a road back here anyway, why wouldn't I take this 50 foot here and get another lot? I don't have to build any road."
If I'm putting a road back here, I make these 50 foot and I double the number of lots I've got.
You can't make you can make these 50, but remember, on your 30-foot setback, wherever these are here, that has to be 100-foot wide.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
With water.
That's got to be 100-foot wide. So you can have the 50, but then when you build your house out, it's got to be 100-foot wide.
Or 150 with no water.
Yeah. So that setback and that right there sort of helps. There, it says automatically, you know what? I'm going to have about 100 foot here, or close to it, or I'm going to have to make a big pie-shaped lot, which that's fine as far as it goes. But that like I say, the 100 foot's going to come in and sort of be the standard just because of the way we have it on setbacks. So the developer's going to sit there and he's going to say, well, you know what? I'm running these lots down through here, and he said, so I'm going to have to go 3 lots, and then I get to do a 50-footer, and then I have to do 3 more 100-foot lots. So that's 3, 6. That's about 700-foot of road right there. You're only going to get those extra lots off of the 50-foot. The 50-foot, leaving the 50-foot. So instead of doing it this way, instead of coming in here and saying, I did 100, then I'm doing 50, and I come up here and do 100, and I'm doing another 50, you won't get all these extra ones down here. They'll have to come from a road behind, or he makes these bigger, or when he comes in here, he makes them take all that area as far as that goes. So if you do it, and I don't know what the jog could be. It could be 300 feet, 300 could be 400 feet, and then you have a 50-foot. And then you go another 400, and then you have a 50. Or you could have a 50, and then 400, you could have your 50 on the end. Either way, when it's all said and done on your road frontage down through there, you're going to have those jogs of either 300 or 400 feet before you get to have a 50-foot.
Or you could keep it simpler and have like 75 feet of road frontage required for each lot. And then you could have your pie-shaped lots to get back to.
That's true.
Yeah, and a curve of a road to get it to be.
Yeah, because the developer's going to have to make it work then to get to 100 foot to get the house in there. And then what comes into play is then he has to come back here and he says, you know what, I did that. Oh, and I got to find this adequate building site in that setback area. So this sort of helps this to a certain extent on that as well.
I think it'd be better if we could keep that simple, because otherwise because sometimes you're going to have like just 3 acres that are going to be cut up.
Yeah.
And if they had a certain amount of road frontage, then that would be standard for that, as it would be if somebody was building a road or developing along, a existing road.
I agree. We need to make it as simple as possible.
But the goal is to provide everybody with good road access, but not have driveways stacked on top of each other. So
we've got, of course, it's not us. Jefferson City did this, but up there on that thing right behind Dollar General to county line, they must be 8 or 9 houses, maybe more. Right as you turn there behind the Dollar General, what is that, Brian? Beacon
Road.
They're stacked in there just like that right there.
The new
They're on sewer.
They're on sewer, but what I'm saying is, they're stacked in there. That's Jefferson City, but they're flag lots and they're stacked up that road. They must be 8 or 9 of them in that little block.
And you'll see that in some of his developments. There's some stuff on the east end of Hamlin. Not the same way.
That's not what we need on here. I mean, we need to figure out how to keep that out. Keep that from happening, because that's not a good plan.
So let's see. If we say the minimum is going to be 75, David, and then just a minute, 75.
The only place I can think of that doesn't require 50 feet is Kingston. It requires 60 feet of road frontage, except in a cul-de-sac turnaround.
Well, if you're going to do 75, do you go 500 feet before you can have the next?
Well,
50 foot.
If you do 375s, that gives you what, 300?
225.
225. 225. So if you did 1, 2, 3. So if you did 475s, that puts you at 300, right? Okay, right there. So you're saying, okay, the minimum amount of road frontage. So what does that do then for people that have all this time have sat out here and looked at things and left themselves 50 foot so they could do something with it, but now then we say they have to have 75?
And there is a lot of that.
That's why I think we do the 100 as far as that goes. Then all I'm saying is that if you're going to develop lots on this existing road, then you're going to go 300 feet before you get to have a 50-foot frontage lot to go back in there. Then you got to go another 300 feet before you get another 50. So however they work that out in there in between the 300s and anything else, the only thing is that they're not going to get any easements off those. The only place they're going to get the easements is at the 50-foot section to make their flag lots. Does that work?
So do we? That still doesn't. I mean, that does. How does that change let's take the subdivision where it went up Klein Road there, or Cole Road.
Okay.
If you had that intact, how much would that impact that?
You still have a lot of road frontage houses.
You still have a lot of flag lots up through there, wouldn't you?
Well, I can't remember how much road frontage there is up through there.
A ton.
Oh, there's a good 3/4 mile up through there at least, isn't there?
He's still going to build a road in phase 2, but I mean.
I understand, but if our whole goal is to slow down these flag lots, does that really impact it? What you're saying right there?
Well, I'd have to look at that plat to see how far he went how many times before he went in and got a 50-footer.
He went on to the curve.
Yeah, he's all the way around the curve.
Yeah, but I know it, but I don't know what that distance is. If you looked at the distance and you were sitting there saying, okay, so this is what we don't like.
It's about 3/4 mile up there on that curve, and it may be a mile.
So if we just said, okay, let's say, for instance, okay, you're starting your road 400 feet before you can have a jog lot, okay? And then after you have your jog lot.
He didn't put any of them up through there, though. He broke those things off. They're all the way around through there is flag lots. They don't have anything going in off of them.
Just that one where they left to build a road in phase 2.
The road down here, he's got a road in here and then a road up here.
So
it's the only two he's got.
So what you're saying is he just cut all these lots off the road then?
Yes.
He did.
So there's nothing that goes in behind these lots?
No.
Well then, but I don't know.
Well, except back in,
back here, the next part of the development goes in here.
I understand that. But what you're saying is that all these up here were the legal size lots?
Yes.
Well, that part I don't know how. I don't know
how you stop it.
I don't either, because I mean, what you've done is the guy's made a good investment.
I understand, but if we're rewriting subdivision things and we want to do away with those flag lots or slow them down.
But see, I don't consider those flag lots. I consider flag lots,
they're not really.
Or whatever you call them.
I consider those that come in like this and come in behind.
Yeah,
that's to me is a flag lot.
They're road lots, I guess is what you might call them.
So I guess my question is that, so you're saying that even though he's on the county road right here, you want him to build?
If you're putting in 100 houses, if you're putting in 2 houses, that's not a big issue. If you're putting in a development,
okay,
and you're putting in 100 houses, it needs to have internal roads.
Okay,
but these need to be a part of it.
Okay. Well, all right. So my question is this: so how many lots did he get up through there?
90 and all.
Oh, up the road?
Oh, on the road? Gosh, I don't know how many. They give permits from back almost all of them.
He's 18 or 20 up through there at least.
So he got 18. So they had to be. So they ended up having to be
That's phase 1.
That was
all road
that was on day 1, right?
Yes.
So it's 40,000 square foot. So they got an acre lot off the
I
road.
don't think they averaged that. I don't believe it.
So
Might have.
they just worked out because
He just had all that road frontage.
Because he had all the road frontage.
Phase one, so build
And
all of them on the road.
And I understand that is, but if we're looking at development and we're looking at what we want to shape the developments as that are coming in here, and they're
Okay.
going to come in here.
Okay.
There's nothing we can do about that unless you've got an innumerable amount of money and just buy up the whole county. But if you want to have some control on there, then the developments that are going in, we ought to be able to shape with these subdivision regulations. We ought to have certain things, and if there's nothing we can do about this, but the property that's out there now, the developers need to understand, here's the rules of what we're doing. And if you put in this large development to control traffic, it needs to have controlled ingress and egress that are coming out on that county road.
Can you say you only get so many lots on the county road? I mean, like over 5 lots, you got to build a road back there. I don't know.
So you'd have to set a new standard for county lot roads. That's what you would do. You would set a standard for lots that fronts on county roads that.
Because doing away with flag lots wouldn't done a bit of good on Cove Road.
That's what, and I was using the wrong thing about flag lots.
See, because that's my misunderstanding. Because I guess here's my thing then. So John, so I got this piece of property here, and this is what somebody sold me, and it's 150 foot deep, but it's down the county road here. But in it, I got 1,050 foot of road frontage. So before, because I'm not going to build on a road because I don't own this and I can't develop this in the back here. So does that mean he can't get by with doing that because he didn't have to build a road? I don't know. I mean, that's what I guess.
That's penalizing that guy. I agree with that.
So,
And I get that. I'm just saying that
I know
somewhere there's got to be a balance.
Yeah, I don't know where it's at.
And it's just like what we're talking about doing in the county. There's got to be a balance between residential and business. There's got to be a balance as we go down through here and we reshape this thing. There's got to be, if you build over at Hilton Head, it's like $6,000 building permit.
right.
And you got to have a tree line, and you got to have
You ain't building Dandridge. I mean, we got that.
I know you boys over here at Dandridge high dollar. We're
like
just
it.
we're in the poor end of the north side of the county over there. But all I'm saying is, if we want it to look any different than it is now, then we've got to get started sometime. And the guy that has that, it's just like what we was talking about. If you're on the other side of the fence, you had the option to go ahead and sell your property before these things come in.
Yeah.
They had the option to plat these things and get them approved.
It's just like it's not approving the gentleman on Collins Road this evening. I mean, that's the same thing.
Well, let me throw this idea at you. Guy comes in here, he got a development. He says, okay, I got some county road frontage. And I said, I'm going to cut lots off on that. We said, okay, existing county road frontage, you're going to cut lots off on that, and you're going to do this development. They're going to need to be 300 foot of road frontage on each lot. That's going to cut down your lots.
And I'm fine with that. I'm just saying that this thing has been abused. And the only way you get regulations, it's just like, and I hate to use this example, please excuse my language, Miss Sue, but on preparation H, it says do not use on eyes and lips. That warning is on there because somebody did that at some time. It did not come about when they first put the packet out.
So I understand. So this lets the developer know right up front that this is what you're going to have to do when you're looking at a piece of property to develop. But my thing is that instead of penalizing him completely, okay, saying yeah, you got that, but you could always say that, all right, if you're going to cut a lot off of existing county road, then you might as well figure that you're going to have to give 300 foot of frontage for that lot. Now, 300 foot time you get down there, you're getting around 3 lots per 1,000 foot of road. So that cuts it down.
That cuts it down, and that's probably
It's only 3
working.
lots.
If he wanted to do more lots, though, could he not build the internal road and cut more out?
Yes, he can.
See, he's got an option.
He's got
there.
an
He's got
option.
an option.
It does not.
Expands that better
He
for
has
him.
an option, and the 300 foot is going to cut down the
But
number of
it's,
lots you have there.
I bet there's not. I bet those going up through there in that DR Horton development. I bet it's not over 1,000 foot up through there
I guarantee it. On the,
Well,
on that Beacon Road.
oh, they're stacked.
There's got to be 8 or 9 of them.
That's because of the zoning.
And I understand, but what I'm saying is that we don't want everything to look like that.
I don't.
Well,
Is that,
That's city.
that's to be houses though?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
or DR Horton houses.
It's,
you only got that in Jefferson City. You only got to have 6,000 square foot. That's the lowest. That's the lowest. One of the lowest around here.
And that's up to them. That's not us. I'm just saying that if we're doing some of this stuff, we need to
Well, we could.
look at all of it instead of just doing 1 or 2 things.
And it's just a matter of saying that on the new developments, lots developed off of county roads, then you're going to say 300 feet of road frontage. And they're going to say, well, I only got 200 foot. And I said, okay, that's fine. When you build your road in here like this, you'll get your extra 100 foot over here. You'll have 200 here, and you'll have 100 here. You'll still have your road frontage in there, 300. You know, so that would be the only thing.
But let's say you only got 5 acres and you only got 150 foot of road frontage, can you still cut up with the right of ways
You can build a road in there.
for 5 lots?
Well,
And that's all you got?
well,
I mean, that's.
I guess you still get to do the 50-foot thing.
I'd hope you would. On 5
Yeah.
acres, that's all you got.
Yeah.
You can't build a road on 5 acres.
That's a lot of road for the city for the county to maintain over
Yeah.
time too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how that would work.
Well,
You need to maybe look at acreage. Because there ain't just everybody got 100 acres out here to sale.
well, we could put anything over 10 acres developed on
Something like that.
that's on existing county road.
Yeah,
The lots on the road, the minimum frontage.
that would give
With
people
300 feet.
under 10 the right to use the same, what we've been doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But here's the problem.
yeah, they'll just cut
I
off.
buy the property. I cut my first off. I sell the rest to Mark. He cuts his off. He sells what's left to Brian. And he finishes up.
What's wrong with that?
Brian's building a road.
It's still the same thing. We're all three of us are the same bunch. It's just under different names.
Well, I mean, I don't care who owns it or anything.
I understand,
But
but
you can't build a road for 5 acres. That's what I'm looking at. That's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to come in here,
they can build a cul-de-sac, like Terry said on that first.
but for 4 lots. Because if you build a road in a cul-de-sac, you ain't going to get 5 lots. That's killer right there now. That's killer.
Well, I don't know what the answer
I
is,
think
and that's
you need
why
to
I'm
look
throwing
at
it.
maybe the 10 acre or whatever you come up with, or maybe 5, less than 5. You don't.
And maybe we need to put in there if it's over a 2-lot subdivision,
No flag lots.
no flag lots, 300-foot road frontage.
Well, then I'm gonna get bombarded 2 lotters. Be my guess. When you,
Yeah, they'll find.
they always
Somewhere there's a
play around.
loophole in
I'm
the-
sure there's a
Them
loophole. I'm
guys
just
seem to
trying
be-
to eliminate. I mean, they spend their days of figuring out the
Yeah,
loopholes.
they try to figure it out. Yeah,
Wow.
surveyors.
I think that I know we can cut down on it by saying you do a development on an existing road. If this is, then basically your road frontage for each one of those lots on the road is going to have to be 300 feet.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty simple there. Ain't? There's not a lot of loopholes.
And if you don't own 300 feet,
Then what do?
then you're going to have to build
A
another road.
For 5 acres.
Okay?
Yep.
So if they come in here and they don't have 300 feet, then basically they got a partial there that's already a partial. And it's just a 1-lotter, and they're going to get a building permit on it anyway because it's already an existing.
That ain't.
It's
So if
just a
they
parcel.
sell the 5 acres, they cut
Well,
one road into it. and it still remains a 5 acre or 5 acre plus tract.
I got 5 acres and 2 kids, and I only got 100 foot of road frontage. You're saying I can't cut it up?
We could say that, but you could still do the
Can you
easement,
do the
right?
easement 25 foot right away? And cut up 2 lots, 3 lots, make it into 3?
I think so.
Well, if you can, then I ain't got, that's fine.
What if you leave that in there?
Well, I mean, you're not taking that out, are you?
Well, we hadn't.
Hadn't yet. I mean, we ain't done anything yet.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you're just, but you got to think about that because there's still a lot of, not as many as I said, but there's still a lot of families out there that ain't got that much property, but they got a couple of kids they like to build next to them. I still see that a lot in the office.
So we leave that in there?
Yeah, I mean,
And you
you've
can't
gotta leave
use it-
something like it. It still comes back if you say 5 acres is that's where you cut the line out. Then I wouldn't have a problem with that. Anything over 5 is what you need to say. Go with these new ones.
I need to think on this one.
Or you need to think on it.
I do. I just.
And that's fine.
It's just going through my mind. I'm just trying to.
Eliminate one of my children.
There you go, Chick.
It's got
Let's solve all problems.
one of them's got to move to California, Chick.
So how much road frontage do you need now?
Bury him out there or something. Dig a hole. I ain't
As
no
much as
chiggers.
he did.
If we're
I think I need.
and I don't know the answer to it. I'm just saying that's something
Well,
that
you
we
need to think about that, and then you don't have to do it tonight anyway. But we need to come up with something right when you do it.
and we need to get
It'll
this
be
right.
hard
There's-
to explain to some of these cats.
And the other thing that I'd like to see in here, if we're doing this thing, is exactly them people coming in. If we give variances, and I'm not on that board, you all are, but I have never seen you turn down a variance
Not in my 23 years.
for a garage in front of the house. Why do we even have that roof?
Is there a law about that, David?
No.
No. That's why I say you take it out and let the subdivision regulations just dictate that and
Yeah.
control it.
That's fine. I mean, because
The
they come in
restrictive
here.
covenants handle it?
I tried to get you to take that out before.
We've already, we took it out to 2 acres, no?
I know it, and I'm just saying we should just took it out completely.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever y'all want to do.
You know.
I mean, there's no need of having to come here.
And I ain't so sure legally we could ever turn one down anyway, as many as we've approved.
That's what I'm saying. So why to even waste?
Like I say, I've just never
Every
seen one.
neighbor's got one.
Yeah,
In the pictures he had,
No,
it's
Yeah.
they are. I know.
Since I've been on here, and you've been on here a lot longer than I have, Terry, I've never seen one turned down.
I've been here a long time and I ain't seen.
We wanted to turn one down one time, but the thing was that he'd already built it. He'd already built it, so it would.
It's irrelevant.
Bad part was he wasn't but a foot off the road.
Why did you just ask for forgiveness instead of permission?
He got called. He came in
Used to be what they did, yeah.
and came in. We didn't want to give a variance, but he said it's already built.
Already built.
So are we going to make him tear it down? You know.
And we saw a lot of that in the early years. Oh, I mean, Elwood caught them left and right.
So
What do you do?
well,
Make them tear it down.
the guy come in here and he said, well, I know his setbacks. He says, I thought the edge of pavement was it was my property line. And of course, you know, what are you going to say? Yeah, he had it. The garage is right there. Here was the paved road, and the garage was right there. He said, of course, he didn't have to build a driveway because the county already built it for him.
Terry, I've not explored with other, in the literature or anything about what we've been talking about the road frontage and all that. I don't know what other places outside of where I work, I don't know what they do.
Well, maybe we're going to plow new ground.
Since this seems to be a big issue, I'll be glad to look further into this instead of us spin our wheels tonight.
Okay, that's
And I'll
fine.
get something out to Stephanie and Tim so you can get a heads up on it before, not just maybe earlier than when the packet goes out.
Okay.
Well, that's fine. I just think that's a problem we need to address.
Oh, it needs to be addressed, no doubt.
Okay. So, in this resolution right here, basically what we're trying to do is everybody okay with what we've discussed on the adequate building site so that David will know that that's other than the fact that it was A1 and R1 and 7%, right? That's what we need
Yes,
that. Okay.
yes,
So we'll be good with
I really think, and I've thought a lot about when Mark said that, and that just cuts all that out. I mean, if you use a percentage of the lot, if they want to build a bigger house, that's fine. You can build a bigger house. But we're just guaranteeing, or we're not guaranteeing, the surveyors and the developer and the realtors are guaranteeing when they sign their name to that thing that there is a buildable side on that thing after we put the sewer in.
Yeah.
30 by 40 at least.
Yeah.
And it has to be at least 30 by 40. It has to be 7% of the lot. Can't have over a 10% slope. And then we don't give any variances.
Yeah.
Well, I just put that no variances.
We've got, it's in
Well, it's
there.
he's got it down there.
You got that in? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And Jay
Okay.
down there?
All right.
Variances
Bottom of the page.
are not,
That's on
will not be
not
granted.
even not in a subdivision?
Well, if it's,
No, that's for a new subdivision.
these are subdivision
So
regulations.
if it's somebody's got a house on 5 or well, less than 2 acres right now, and they want to build in front of their house, do we still bring it in front of
Well,
you?
we looked at it, but I mean, this is for a new subdivision.
I know, but I mean, hoping we get rid of all of them.
We need
Well,
to prove any lots
if-
that would
if
require
we're-
variance.
If we're not,
Yeah, I know the new lots, but like somebody's lived there less an acre. It's been an acre for 25 years. They
On
wanna
its
build
own
in front of the
merits.
house for some reason.
I don't really see if you're not ever going to turn them down why you got the rule in there.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah. That's the way I think we don't need them. I don't. That's
Well,
just
can we just get rid of that?
yes. We can.
You can't, because wasn't too many years ago we did the 2 acre deal.
Yeah, we reduced it, and I wanted to go all the way then because I just
We probably should have.
should have.
That was partly my fault. Yeah. I take the blame.
I figured you had a.
Yeah, that's for my heart surgery.
I still can't believe they actually found one.
Took them a while.
All right. So we had that, and then basically the other thing is the subdivision regulations is that do we want to add in there the extra pavement width and designate that area as a walkway, and which would increase the paved area to 25 feet, which is standard now is 20, and then with a 5-foot walkway. I mean, and then this will just be on one side of the road. Okay, right there, one side of the road. Let me ask this question.
No.
So the
can see the light
the guy comes in here and he builds his new development, okay, and so he's putting his sidewalks in. But let's go back to the thing that we just talked about here. The guy that has all the road frontage. Are we going to make him provide something for his people to walk up and down the street as far as it goes? Because he's not going to be able to extend a county road.
I don't know how you can.
So would you make them put a sidewalk in for their people to walk up and down, or what?
Well, what about the same thing that we're doing on them that we did up there on Dumpling Valley? We asked for an additional 5 foot.
We did.
Can we not put that on there?
Well, we can change that to all new developments to instead of the center of the road, instead of our typically it's 25 foot off the center line. We're going to go in there and say from now on we want 30 feet.
Yeah.
But
You
in
did
that,
that on Dumpling Valley.
We
So-
did it on Dumpling Valley because we asked that when they cut those lots that we come back another 5 foot. So if
That was
that's-
because it was a collector street.
yeah,
I understand, but I mean, if we've got the authority to do that, can we not do this same thing and ask that it?
we can just change
Ask or
that.
change the regulations.
We just change that one.
Change that.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically we would just say, okay, anything that comes off county road now, instead of 25 feet off center line, it's going to be 30
Gotta
feet,
be 30 from
which
the
gives the
center.
extra 5 feet right here into the right of way, right there, and that just gives extra room for utilities or whatever you want in there. I don't know, but I'm just saying you wouldn't have a walkway.
And that would be a 60-foot right of way in new streets.
Yes,
Well,
on existing streets. On the new ones, I don't know that we would have to have that, would we? On the new streets in the subdivision?
No, I wouldn't think on your new one.
I was just thinking, because we just want the right of way on the existing streets
Yes,
when they develop off of them. Is that right? Like Dumpling Valley?
yes, I think
Yes.
that's what you, yeah.
Yeah. So if you got an existing road, you do a development, you're going to give an extra 5 feet of easement area for the right of way on your
Probably
side.
should have done that on Cole too.
Should have, because at some point in time, you're gonna have to do something with that road.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's going to say, hopefully that helps not have to buy a right of way later on if you have to.
What's the
make
difference between an existing street and a proposed street?
Existing
Well,
county
the
road.
existing's
I mean,
already got
that-
pavement
Well, I
down.
understand, but you know, what if you need a
That other one
additional
just
for-
on paper, I think.
Well, I understand, but what if, you know, in the subdivision regulations are the same. It's a 25-foot right-of-way on most streets, and if you're subdividing off an existing street, it's 50 feet right-of-way, and it's 25 feet from the center line. In a collector, it's a 60-foot right-of-way with coming off 30. I'm just saying they should be consistent. And they should be
Well,
consistent for.
if the county road is 20 feet off there, do you make them pave that along that lot?
Or put a sidewalk in.
Yeah.
I thought we wanted to do away with the side.
I know it, but I'm just saying, I don't know
County
that.
sidewalk, ain't it?
Yeah, so I guess the thing is that when you're altering the ditch line to a certain extent to maybe make that work, and I don't know how that works up and down. I don't know how that's going to work.
We need to talk to Charlie on that.
Yeah, I don't think
I'll ask him.
I don't think he'd be happy with that.
Well,
Probably.
You don't want to maintain them sidewalks.
no, I know we don't.
Well,
That's
but if we make in there that they have to pave that, then they have to move the ditch line over and recreate it, right?
They would have to move the ditch and everything else, and so that's why I'm saying I just don't know how that's, so you got a ditch line coming down through here, it's running here, and then all of a sudden you're going to say, okay, we have to give extra 5 feet, so we got to move that ditch here, so somehow you got to get that water to come up here and then and
Or
come
they put a culvert underneath that thing.
Well, here or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk to Charles about that one and see what he says. All right.
What about if we're talking about these new regulations? What if we're talking about on? And this is a question partially for you. What about underground utilities? Do we put that in? How does that affect Appalachian standing? Is that something we need to get into, or?
I'll bet Appalachian just loves those, don't they?
What, the underground utilities?
The underground utilities?
Well, it's about all you're going to be able to get for a while because there ain't nothing to go up overhead. You
that's what I
can't
heard.
get a transformer.
Both, wasn't it? What Marty told me.
You can get some pad mounts. We've got more. We've got about 4 to 1 pad mounts in stock. What we got overhead, but we don't have, and you can't get them. We're scavenging right now in the system, trying to run extra duplex and take down transformers that don't have much load on it. Get those things before we can keep providing service. And it's not us. I mean, that's other neighboring counties that said, no new service, no temporaries. They won't hook a temporary up. If you want to build a house, you want to run a generator. And once the house is done, they'll do what they can to provide permanent power. It's a mess.
So-
And it don't look like it's going to get better.
So what you're saying is that right now that it's more advantageous to go underground than it is overhead.
You come closer getting your service.
I
somebody
would have thought, the reason I asked
Yes.
that question, because I would have thought just the opposite.
Yeah, I did too, because that's what I was
We
told.
can't
But
get
you're saying,
transformers.
Yeah, you
I didn't know that.
You can't get transformers. We've took X amount and set aside for restoration, for trouble. We have a stockpile of those laid back, and then we've got a limited supply of new service transformers that you're not going to see a cul-de-sac or a barn get hooked up for a little while. Not a cul-de-sac, but a cupola or a pavilion or something like that.
Yeah.
You're not going to see any of that getting hooked up for a while.
okay.
So if it's
And
not
what's the
absolutely necessary, it's not
If
happening.
it's not commercial, or residential, or industrial, you're not going to.
Get it. Okay.
What's the reason y'all are giving that you can't get any?
Can't get
There's
them.
none there.
Can't get
It's
them.
just same thing with
Everything
Else.
else?
fertilize and everything else. It's limited supply right now.
Like baby formula.
And, you know, we've got a blanket order we put in every year with Firmco of how many we're supposed to get, and that's our major supplier, and they can't guarantee we're gonna get the blanket order. We won't receive anything from them until August. We found about 20 or 25 right now. There's about 150 we can take down on the system and help.
Are y'all telling people to be a year? I thought that's what Marty told me.
There was an email come out the other day that told them, you know, it can be a while.
It'll be a year, yes.
Jeez.
So is that something we need to look at
Well,
when we start these regulations? And I'm just trying to throw things out, because if we're going to do them, we ought need to do them all at one time.
Comprehensive.
I think we do it. We look at it this way. It's just my opinion, because because I'm looking at it both ways. Because I was told just the opposite. Because my thing is that people come to us and said, "Hey, can we go overhead?" Well, we don't have any guidelines either way. Right now, you can can do either as far as that goes.
You can do either.
But if you put the stipulation in there, because somebody come to us and said, "Well, what if they say that we can't go underground?" And I said, "Well, if you get a letter from Appalachian telling us you can't go underground, then we're going to let you go overhead, or vice versa." Okay, from that standpoint, because it would be no different than we do with people that come in and we say we're going to put fire hydrants in. And they say, "Well, the water system said we can't put one in because they ain't got enough pressure." So they give us a letter and we let it go. So we could come in and right now and say, "Okay, our standard is that all developments we want underground power. But if for some reason you can't go underground in Appalachian, or the electric company there that's providing the power for this development says that they can't go underground there, and they give us a letter for that, then we could say, okay, then our fallback is we'll let you go overhead."
If you had all the supplies, is there any reason you couldn't go underground?
No, or if you, not that I know of, unless the terrain limited you from being able to do that. But what I'm just talking about, in stock, what we have now.
Right.
We have more underground transformers on hand than we do overhead.
Overhead.
Which
okay.
is more expensive.
Underground's a whole lot higher.
A whole lot higher, yeah.
2 to 1 or 3 to 1.
About 3 to 1 with what
Jesus,
went up.
that high.
It was as a guy in Newmarket had a quote, and he kind of drug his feet on putting it in, and his job went from 8,000 to 24,000.
Yeah, I knew it'd gone up.
How about maintenance of the system?
Maintenance is underground's better. Outside, out of mine. It's
Yeah.
all in pipe.
No
Yeah,
trees.
cable.
Protected from
wind.
trees and wind and
No storms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ranch use it
What
too.
you
You
dig
can
it,
jerk
though?
a cable out, pull a unit in, limited amount of time, and go back.
I didn't know that. That's well,
Cheaper
I mean,
than
it
run
makes
over a
sense what
pole
you're
on the way
saying.
home.
If you dig your own ditch, is that,
That one lady.
If you're developing a subdivision, you're gonna dig your ditch anyway.
You're gonna dig it.
You're gonna dig it, we're just gonna come lay the pipe in. Yeah, you're gonna
Interesting.
dig your ditch.
Good to learn that.
So, that's what you got. I think that's just that's my suggestion is that we set the standard. We want underground. If for some reason the electric utility comes back and says we can't go underground, then
That'd be no different than a fire hydrant do.
I agree.
I think that's reasonable.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
slow it down some?
Boy, that will.
Make it a little
So-
nicer too.
It will. I mean,
Oh, yeah, 'cause they all junction right in my front yard.
shoot, we're getting we're
And they
going
tried
down.
to
We got
get
underground power. We got
underground, but they
sidewalks.
wouldn't let them put underground.
We got a good
in that
building site.
subdivision.
Really.
We go.
I don't even
What
know
else
We got
if
it
they
all.
have that.
We got it
And a lot
all.
of times it's price.
Street light. We need street lights.
You know, it's, we're cost, and
No,
they may tell you they won't let us.
That's gonna
They
be.
won't let us become a council.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
That may
I ain't
be.
covered
I don't know.
3
She
trees
just
in the
said
yard.
they have tried to
You
get
can't have them.
underground.
You got to
but
have
they
the right
couldn't
kind.
get it.
There's one kind you can't have. They're not a good
So,
tree.
you know, whether that be the
With
truth or not, I couldn't tell.
Right.
You know, but I know I would like it a lot better as
Oh,
underground.
yeah.
Oh,
Sure,
and
guarantee.
the driveways you got
Yeah,
to
I
be
mean, it's-
concrete.
I've got the
It's-
big pole right in my yard.
It's
Got
more
driveways got to be
reliable, and you
concrete.
don't have, it's the elements don't affect it.
Exactly.
Well,
But I didn't realize it was
I'm at least
3
giving her
times higher. I knew
2
it
out of
would have to be a little
8
bit
or
higher,
9.
but
Yeah.
Can't
So
sit
it's
far
about
too
There
high.
was a-
one?
All right.
We went several.
So, David, I think
years without
what
a
we
price
discussed
adjustment.
there, as far as we're talking about on the power, I think
Of course.
we can put that in there, change. Okay. All right.
really went up.
Extra 5 feet striped.
Is there anything else on subdivisions that's come up that we feel like that we might want to
No.
Oh, that is something in there.
No
Does
one-legged
this state in our
ostrich is
guidelines
allowed.
that the developer's responsible
said
for
that.
putting striping and putting street signs up?
No, I don't think so.
It is.
If there isn't, there should be. It's in a lot of them.
Charles talked to me about that, and that's something that we definitely need to put in there.
Okay.
As a stipulation that when the developer does it, that they stripe the roads and put the road signs up.
I hadn't thought about that. That's a good idea.
Because he says that's an expense for me. So you stop signs, you name street names.
Counties have to do that?
Part of me has to,
Yeah.
has had to, and that's an
doesn't say
oversight.
it's red.
That's an oversight when we take over the road as county commission, when they come and offer the road up to us. And they should have been doing it down there at the road commission.
Yeah.
But that's just been an oversight.
Yeah. But anyway,
I don't believe I've ever read it in there.
well, what it does is before the county takes over the road, at least the road's legal.
They're ready.
Yeah.
And that's that's just part of it. Got to put a stop sign up. Got to put the road sign up. The county shouldn't have to do that.
Is it in there?
Yeah, it's got in here. Signs shall be installed, developed, and appear at all intersections in new residential subdivisions.
Okay, maybe I thought they already did that.
Appropriate regulatory and warning signs shall be installed as needed and shall conform to the Uniform Traffic Control Manual
I just
guidelines.
thought they already did that.
I think there's been some that have
They
not,
didn't do it.
that got it, and they took the road and accepted it, and we accepted it, and once we accept it, then we're responsible for it.
I got you.
What about the striping on the road?
It's not in there, but
Yeah,
it'll
the
be.
striping
Okay.
is not in.
So if we change this to add on the 25 feet, and we're going to have to, and we're going to tell them they're going to have to stripe that, could we not add also for the lane striping to be included in that if it's not in here then?
Yeah, you can add that.
Yeah. Just add that in with that for the, if we go with the widening of the road. So,
No roads in the subdivision
Okay.
striped, are there?
well, no, why shouldn't, but if you're going to have
If you're
that,
gonna do that, they need to be.
I would think so.
Stripe that one thing, you might as well just
Yeah,
stripe the whole
I
thing.
agree.
Yeah, or just let it run wild.
Probably
Yeah.
be just,
2 foot water and let
Yeah.
it go.
Yeah. All right.
It might be cheaper in the long run.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, then we can go to F. And so I guess here's my thing, David. We've gone a little bit longer than I thought we would have as far as that goes. But I guess my question is, are you comfortable that the land use plan, as you got it, that there's changes and everything made is good?
So far, yeah, I don't know how much further we need to take it. I haven't put those changes in the draft yet, but I've got notes on all of them.
Okay.
Could you get us at our next meeting, could you get all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
and give us so we
I'll
can
do
read through that?
Okay.
And I'll try to bold the changes
Yeah,
so you
please.
can see that they've been added.
Okay.
And
All right. I think
Because you've got
that'll
a lot
help.
of the information that we talked about or whatever, I guess, don't you?
I should have all of it.
Okay.
All right, so I think that'll work. So, is everybody comfortable with that then? For what he's got, we'll have a new copy next month. Everything that's been changed will be in bold letters. We'll be able to see it. If there's anything that we think that we've missed, then we can address it then. And
There may be something that I've interpreted wrong from what you've said or omitted or something, so I want you to all read it real carefully.
Because I guess my thing is this: is that does this have to go before the
County Commission?
yeah,
The
it's
regionals.
got to go for the regional.
Yeah.
So the county commission meets in July, and there's no way
well, we can't.
I can't get it. I can't get it in front of them all the.
January probably before we get it to them.
Well, that's when they'll get it.
We
Unless
gotta
y'all,
go through the regional.
unless y'all had a special call or something like that during some time, we might slip it in earlier.
I was just figuring January.
All right.
I mean, you probably, if you don't like something next month, you ain't gonna vote on it next month either.
Well, that's true. You're right.
It'll be July, and then we've got to go through the cities.
Okay. All right.
And then if you get delayed like Jefferson City was, and they don't
Yeah,
have but one
they wouldn't
thing,
let us have one because we're the only one on the agenda this month, and they said, see you next month.
So what happens if they don't have an agenda next month and we don't get it through there?
And I guess we go to county commission without a recommendation.
can you do that?
Yes, you can.
Well, I think we should make a recommendation.
No, I mean, do you
you
have to
can,
go
can't you?
through the,
If for
do we
some
have to
reason,
go to Jefferson City and they've delayed it 2 months
Oh,
and we've got quarterly meetings,
I
the
got
county
you.
commission, do we have anything in the law that says that we have to take it in front of Jefferson City after they've had 2 chances at it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Can you find out?
Well, and
That's a
he
good
said
question.
they already had 3 things on the agenda,
Okay.
wouldn't be no problem.
Okay.
So you're hoping it's a non-issue?
well, the only
Yes.
problem would be is if you don't get a quorum at the
Well,
meeting.
yeah, they may not show up to vote, but ain't nothing we can do about that.
Well, I'm just saying. That
And
could
if
be an
they've,
issue.
and I think that's reasonable, if they've had 2
Yeah, that's
chances
right,
at it
yeah.
to review it, then that's not our
not
problem.
gonna-
Yeah, we've done all we can.
Okay.
I don't know that there's any case law on that or anything.
Okay. All right. Any other business?
No, sir.
Anything else, David?
I don't have anything.
Anybody else have any other business? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Got proper?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, aye?
That's a quick one, wasn't it?
You're just